Good evening, everybody, and a warm welcome from Telstra Stadium in Sydney's West. It's game one of the 2005 Gillette Tri-Nations. The Aussies at home to the Kiwis. The men in black come here looking to break a 46-year drought in Sydney. The Roos, conversely, looking to continue their global domination. Against the odds, New Zealand tonight, they are no strangers in that department. And, of course, Stacey Jones, penultimate game in national colours. The scene is set here for one heck of a battle. The international game, yet again, at the Crossroads here in Sydney tonight.
Looking forward to this one, Costa, as the Skydivers just land on the pitch here at Telstra. Not a big crowd to speak of. Plenty of people will come late. Always a late rock up here at Telstra. But the forward pack for New Zealand, well, what a battle royale we have. Some big men, some big boppers up front, Ropo. I'm looking forward to that contest with the Australian pack.
Yeah, there's clashes all over the park, and in particular what's makes it even a little bit more intriguing is the fact that you've got so many players not involved in footy for a number of weeks. Also players involved with football sides that have not been in good form, not involved in the final series. So something to look forward to. The battle up front be an absolute stunner.
So let's have a look at the cards. Firstly, the visitors, New Zealand tonight, their back five. A couple of rookies here, of course, on debut tonight. Vartuve, the man they have dubbed the Beast, Mark II, and of course Jake Webster from the Melbourne Storm.
Inexperienced on the wings for sure, but let's see them fly. Let's give them some ball and let them rip.
The halves, Nigel Vangana. Incidentally, last time the Kiwis won, he was the 5'8". He's alongside the Little General.
And expect him to interchange with the likes of Brent Webb up the back as well. He'll play a roaming commission. He'll come all over the place. One of the best in terms of anticipating broken field play. Expect him to back up.
And the front six, plenty of grunt, maybe some fireworks as well. Kidwell, Louis Anderson, Pritchard, nice back row as well. Good tough forward pack for the Kiwis.
Plenty of grunt up front, as you say, and plenty of athleticism in the second row. Pritchard and also Louis Anderson at the back. The bench is an impact.
And when you talk about the bench, the likes of David Faumu, every one of these players can contribute and add a little bit of special. Roy Asotasi, one of the best, but David Solomona, that's the one that's caught the eye of Coach Brian McLennan, one of the most skillful players he's had the honour of being involved with.
And speaking of the man they call Bluey, he is sidelined with Stephen McIver.
Well, Brian, first test for you, your debut, how are the nerves?
I'm feeling good, thanks, mate. Yeah, I'm doing real well. Feeling good.
Do you think you've done enough in the past week to prepare to get over the Kangaroos?
Yeah, our preparation's been excellent. Couldn't fault it. We're ready, we're willing. Just can't wait for kick-off.
Everybody's backing the Kangaroos. They're almost unbackable on Sports Tab, and they keep talking about Andrew Johns. Have you got the plan to combat Andrew Johns and Darren Lockyer in the halves?
Well, we just have to be the best we can be in yardage, and the biggest thing we need to do is finish our sets down in their 20. And Andrew Johns and Lockyer are constantly coming out of their own end. It nullifies their presence. So we've just got to be dominant, physical, make sure we win territory.
Now be honest with me, we're closing in on kickoff. How is the heart?
Heart's going good. Can't wait.
Good luck, mate.
Cheers, thank you.
Okay, there is Brian McLennan, and let's have a look at the Australian side now. The green and golds, they have some changes as well. A couple of debutants here tonight for them. They're back five. King is one of the newcomers. Of course, he has had a wonderful season, scoring 3 tries in an Origin game, of course.
And you talk about debutant wingers, but also the same applies to Matt King and Tamanda Tahu. Maybe not debutants as such, but not specialist wingmen.
The halves, Lockyer, Johns. First time ever, folks, they've played in the halves in national colours tonight. Johns, of course, did not play in Brisbane. He's back tonight.
Absolute world class. Nothing need to be said. And you can picture in the fact there that Paderis will be feeding them the ball. They can create.
The unknown there is whether or not they'll override each other.
The forward pack, Luke O'Donnell. What a season it has been for him. Grand final appearance for the Cowboys. Ben Kennedy at the back. Fitzgibbon the worker. Up front, nice and strong, including, of course, Warriors leader Stephen Price.
Quality all across that park there, and also what they've got on the bench as well. A number of players who can play 80 minutes. That is going to be the big challenge tonight, how you utilise your bench.
So here they come, the two combatants, Ruben Wiki squaring off against Darren Lockyer. A walk down the tunnel here at Telstra Stadium, now dubbed Australia's home ground. Very English-like feel about this as we see the two teams head towards the turf.
And just looking there at Stephen Price, what must be going through his head right now is right beside him his teammate Ruben Wiki, and plenty of other Warriors sitting in the line as well.
Well, it's a very solemn walk out the tunnel, isn't it? Very slow-mo. You can just feel the tension and the stuff building up. Let's hope they don't just let it ride once they get out. The national anthems take some time off. And, of course, Haka fire the boys back up there. But you don't want the guys going to sleep. They will be pumped. They would have had a rev in the shed, that's for sure.
And look at someone who's excited. He's been very vocal throughout the week, often been seen to be taken the training sessions, allowing the coach Wayne Bennett to sit back, and he's had an absolute pleasure knowing that you've got one of the best in the number 7, Andrew Johns. He's extremely happy to be back in this lineup.
And just on Andrew Johns, he has certainly enjoyed the week. So too his coach. First time they've teamed up with the national side in 7 years.
And the player beside him, Brent Tate, a lot of controversy over here, a lot of discussion as to whether or not Cooper should have been there. Cooper played against the NZAs earlier on. Perhaps not the best first 40 minutes by Cooper.
There's the former garbage collector, Matt King, as we prepare for the formalities here. Fans pumped up for this one. Of course, the series moving on to Auckland next week.
The New Zealand performed by graduate of the Talent Development Project. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for David Sanders. David Sanders with the New Zealand anthem. And ladies and gentlemen, the Australian anthem performed by Felicity Urquhart, current CMAA Independent Entertainer of the Year and Golden Guitar winner.
Australians, all let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Australian national anthem, a wonderful performance by Felicity Urquhart, and again the New Zealand anthem by David Sanders. We are set for kick-off in the 2005 Gillette Tri-Nations. The referee is from England, Steve Ganson. The sideline official, Steve Carroll and Arthur Clark. The video referees are Chris Ward and Ian McIntosh. Stand by, here we go with one of the great moments in sport.
Another challenge, another test. Can they do it tonight?
Just leaving the hotel earlier this evening, I spoke to Tony Iro and I said to Tony, why am I entitled to feel a little bit more confident than we were a few months ago when we were in Brisbane? And he said, Pete, there's nothing to be said in words but the look in their eyes, and what we saw in the national anthem and also in the haka, particularly from players that you least expect the emotion to come out from. It was very, very evident.
Our referee tonight, the 35-year-old from St Helens in the north of England, Steve Ganson. All is set for kick-off here at Telstra. Kangaroos running from right to left, defending the southern end of the ground.
Okay, Andrew, let's go, mate.
Here we go. The Tri-Nations is underway, and Kidwell with the first touch of the match for New Zealand, tackled 25 out from his own line. Fitzgibbon was there to lead the charge in defence for the Kangaroos.
Second back with me, hold.
Opening seconds of the series, and a sloppy play the ball. I reckon the Kiwis got away with one there as Lance O'Hire goes for a dart.
Third, back here, boys. Wait, go.
Ganson seems to have missed that. That was a flat ball for Wiki, looking to steamroll his way straight up Main Street. 10 short of halfway. Rahihi, big man, of course, off to Warrington in the UK after this series has been completed. Here is the last now for the NZers. Stacey Jones, back in national colours for the first time in more than 2 years tonight. Minicello on the kick return, and plenty of black jumpers to greet him. Let's go sideline. Stephen McIver, great atmosphere here tonight.
Costo, nervous anticipation, but I tell you what, the Kiwis have done exactly what Coach Brian McLean had wanted. On their last tackle, they got it over the opposition 50. What are you feeling like, Benji? First set, not bad?
Yeah, very good set. I think they finished in the Kangaroos 20, so that's a good thing. Just as long as they don't keep kicking it to Anthony Minicello on the full, they could be all right.
Costo's not a bad crowd, a little breezy running right to left, but perfect night for Test football.
Certainly is. Almost 90 seconds gone. Australia 11 short of halfway. Seven Asiva with the most recent of the hit-ups as they go wide now, the Aussies. Australia have certainly had the wood on the Kiwis 11 times, the last 11 meetings, I should say. New Zealand just the one win. That's a poor kick on the last. And now coming through is Matt King. He couldn't collect it. In fact, for the Aussies, it was Tahu, and it was a near thing there for New Zealand. No doubt about that. Johns getting some pressure. More of that is certainly required.
Straight back to Johns in Origin 2 when he came on, and his first couple of kicks, they weren't great kicks, but the chase made just about everything out of them. And this time it was King coming through, and New Zealand letting it bounce. It was all over the shop before Webb tidied it up. But yes, in the right part of the field and have started the game well, getting away with Webster. But like Webster, got an early, got the second touch for a debutant. That's a good sign.
Well, a lot of speculation about whether these young debutant wingers would be able to turn and regather football. He took it around his laces, but we've already seen an early insight into how this game's going to be played, particularly by Australia. Numbers in the tackle and width in their attacking game very quick.
Pressure at the back here on the Kangaroos. Matt King, how did he get out of jail? Someone please tell me. Australia seemingly under some pressure. But all of a sudden, they do the impossible. There's the bench, plenty of experience there.
Put quality beside that as well.
And now the Aussies with Lockyer. Tahu on the wing. Tahu down the sideline. Great grassing tackle it was, supplied by Webster, the rookie winger. And here's a penalty from Ganson, first of the match.
Worrying signs as Andrew Johns decides to go wide, then finds plenty of space. Tahu caught in a grassing tackle, and then someone coming in from a flop. But the kick from Webb was the reason why they hemmed him in goal there. But Johns and Price go straight through.
Some dusty defence from New Zealand. Stephen Price, a worrying sign there for the visitors. Johns hands it on to Seven Asiva, the Bronco front row forward. It goes to ground 10 metres out here. The Aussies come the left side, the blind side. Badiris doesn't suck them in. Just for a moment, though, I thought he might have sold it. 5 metres out. Not even that, the green and golds. Johns. Lockyer. What a combination. Now Minicello. Here's trouble. Here's a try out wide. Is it King? Pass on the inside. It's still on for Australia. They have got possession, but they're going backwards. Somehow New Zealand have repelled them, but they're not done with yet, Australia.
This is not the game New Zealand wants. They need to lock up the ball. Defence on the edge.
Johns. Kennedy, there's the step, there's the hole, there's the pass, no support, try goes begging. Let off for New Zealand.
They let off, but they scrambled well there. They got in, and certainly the key to it is put pressure on the outside player. Kennedy took the ball and he had the opportunity. He offloaded, but the Kiwi got in there. Got to be able to adjust defensively. You've got the Kangaroos, you've got width in their passing game. They can get to the outside so quick. A compressed D, you've got to recognise where you are on the park.
Here's Jake Webster, Melbourne-born, Melbourne player. Stacey Jones hands it on now to Paul Rahihi. And the departing Cowboy is trying to perhaps milk a penalty there, unsuccessful in that facet of the game. Paul Rahihi, of course, captain New Zealand at the back end of last season. Here's the last, here's the kick. Jones doing the honours, and Minicello, can he get it on the full or what? More times than not, the count, the man they call the count, he brings it back, and look at the leg drive from the number one.
And more importantly, first tackle on the 40. We saw Webb come up and kick a left foot kick on the left-hand side of the field. I'd love to see Ho-Hire duck out a dummy half, maybe on the fourth tackle, and put one in that finds the grass as well, as Badderis is all over.
Badderis, of course, returning to the national side tonight for the Aussies, and here they go. They swing it wide. What a tackle that was. Jake Webster on debut with an important tackle. Tate now with the neck brace. You can't miss him. Here's Lockyer. Here's Johns. Here's quick hands. Seven Asiva kept it going. Big shot on Badderis, and they forced the mistake.
Jake Webster coming up the second important tackle of the night. Saw one only moments before on the flank, and then again. But the Kangaroos are certainly finding some width. They're using some expanse and not afraid to promote the football. Wayne Bennett came out during the week making it quite clear the style of football, the way he's going to play, is about an expansion. And there's plenty of players there looking to offload and provide that second phase play.
Lock in, boys. Lock in.
6 minutes gone in the tournament opener.
Hold. Hold.
Ganson telling Australia to get it back on side. Jones had nowhere to go, but he gets a penalty for his troubles. Ganson playing advantage, and obviously there was none in that respect. Stacey Jones, of course, answering that SOS from new coach Brian McLennan
Okay, boys. Here we are.
for the first couple of games of this international series that will culminate with the final at Allen Road in Leeds in late November.
Lock and hold.
Smart run there from Kidwell, trying to get Andrew Johns interested, goes straight past him, gets a second row to tidy it up. More of that needed.
Movement.
The experience of Wiki now. He plays it back. Ho-Hire in the 9. Jones goes to Anderson, former junior Kiwi captain. He gets chopped down. 18 out from the goal line. Pritchard now. Big man, big step. Perhaps an offload to boot. Not on this occasion. The Aussies on their own goal line. Jones at first receiver. Holds up the pass. Spots an opening. Has support. There's the try. It's the old firm, Clinton Torpey, backing up the little general, and the Kiwis will play from in front.
Brilliant, they set up for this a couple of plays back, and wouldn't you believe that Torpey, he's playing left centre in this match, hanging around the middle just like a fullback, and the magic of Stacey Jones. Well, you watch Jones, he interests everyone. Look at him, players outside, then goes himself, and Torpey, he's playing on the left centre, comes in, beautiful.
And the most pleasing part is it's one of the rare times that they've come up into their own territory, and then to be able to put a play on that comes up with such results. Great start.
Clinton Torpey, of course, last time the Kiwis beat their Trans-Tasman rivals, he scored 3 tries at North Harbour, one of only 5 New Zealand players to do that in the history of the game. That is against Australia. So a positive start there for the visitors.
Young, hot and Kiwi. There's certainly a lot of proud Kiwis on this side of the Tasman. Plenty of them here tonight. And right now the start, and also the opportunities. Farewell for the last time on Australian soil, number 7, Stacey Jones.
Speaking of the little general, this is a formality. 4-0 becomes 6-0. Great start for the NZers here at Telstra.
And here we are, Stacey Jones. Well, the ability to take on 2 big men and then still get the pass away for a little man. Well, Stephen Price didn't come up off his line there, and Stacey Jones.
And the detail, talk about detail, Ruben Wiki. Great block.
We are back underway. So a setback for the home side. Ruben Wiki. Just for a moment, they're flirting with some danger.
A big involvement in scoring that try, being able to run decoy, commands a lot of attention when he's in the line, allowing Stacey that half opportunity to look and promote the ball back on the outside as Paul Rauhihi finds a couple of defenders, Badderas and Fitzgibbon.
Okay, hold, go.
Kidwell now on this blind side. Doesn't go too far. Solid defence. Tahu has a problem early on. That is not a good look for the green and golds. Waterhouse comes into the battle a lot earlier than what he would have anticipated. Here is some exciting second phase play from New Zealand. Anderson, Pritchard, Torpy. Here's trouble. Here's a try. Torpy, Clinton Torpy. He gets a double inside 10 minutes, and New Zealand hit double figures. Can you believe it? What a shock scoreline we have got here at Telstra. That is not a mistake. 11 gone, 10-0, kick the come.
Electrifying stuff, finished off by Torpy, who grabs his double, but some great work in the middle of the field. And when you get a chance, watch what Webb does in his step. Here it is, they keep the ball alive. Good pass here. Jones onto Webb, and here he doesn't try and do too much. He shifts the ball quickly to Pritchard, Pritchard to Torpy, and just look at this one outside, shows the dummy, and then the speed and the finish of Clinton Torpy is brilliant.
And the part I liked was coming out of the acting half and Lance O'Hire. Tamana Tahu obviously feeling a little bit of, having a bit of problem there with his hamstring, but you got Lance O'Hire coming out of the acting half, put him into two minds, but then the work done by Louis Anderson, recognising very early on that he wasn't going to have the pace to go with it, went straight to Clinton Torpy and let him finish what he started. Wonderful try. But it was an absolute bummer there, as shown by Tamana Tahu.
Some of your best work, Peter. We can afford to smile. This is not what we had expected. Rank outsiders in the eyes of the so-called experts.
Costo, we're going to have trouble tonight.
Well, I think the Kangaroos have got some trouble, more importantly. Here's the kick from Jones, and it's there. Flags are up. It's a neat dozen here for the visitors. 12-0 after 12, Stephen.
Costo is just what the Kiwis wanted. Tony Iro had suggested to Peter what it was all about. And Benji, when you look at the play, the Kangaroos wanted to shut down the second phase. Slippery service cost them.
Yeah, definitely. Good hands by the Kiwis. All the forwards, you know, they put the input in, and just good all-round hands.
A tentative start by both sides, Costa, but right now the Kiwis in charge. How about that after almost 12 minutes?
Well, I dare say a shaky start from the home side. They would be gobsmacked looking up at that scoreboard.
They'll be gobsmacked as well. And Tahu has been replaced by Waterhouse, who will come out and play in the centres. And that'll shift Tate to the left-hand wing for Australia.
He's no stranger to that department, of course, Darryl, so fairly straightforward there for Wayne Bennett. And now New Zealand with their tails up. Why wouldn't they be? 14 short of halfway. O'Hire with a sortie from dummy half. Excellent meters at that.
Yes, and expect a little bit more. One of the quickest and easiest ways. Get a towing defensive line, turn them around.
Jones with the kick, looking to catch the Aussies out. And nice soft bounce, a kind bounce for Minicello. Here's King. Matt King goes to ground on his own 20-metre line.
And good play there by Matt King. He got in there, put himself in position and just backed up to take the pass.
Gasnier playing his first test tonight for Australia since 2001. The Aussies now 38 metres out from their own line. Fitzgibbon hits it up for the Kangaroos. Got away from one, and that's a fine carry.
And so important for the Kangaroos that they ignore what's happening on the scoreboard right now and just get back into the groove.
Look out, down the blind side they come. Will they get the bounce? And the ball is still in the field of play. Badderas has got it. Someone tackled Badderas. He goes to ground, and now the last coming up.
No, 6 again, Costo's ruled it.
No, he hasn't. The arm is actually stretched. They've got to come up with a kick here. Johns knows it. Crossfield kick. It's going to go out. Surely. No, it doesn't. Ball batted back in field. New Zealand with the knock on. Play on's the call. Tate's got the ball. 6 to go. Forward pass for mine. Ganson has missed it. Can you believe that?
That's 2 metres forward.
And now the barge over from dummy half with Trent Waterhouse, and justice has been served.
Well, it would have been an absolute tragedy if it was anything other than that. Don't forget, this is the referee that sent Adrian Morley off.
Yeah, that game 2 years ago, as we watched the replay of the fumble here, Morley set off after 12 seconds in 2003, and this is the man we've got here tonight.
And it's taken the English game a long time to forgive him for that as well. He is now back at the top of his game and reffing the test tonight.
So the heart would have been pumping there for Bluey McLennan without a shadow of a doubt. A very scrappy scrum. Ganson allows play to continue here. New Zealand in possession. Almost 15 gone. And it is 12-0. Here's Pritchard speaking of 12.
A lot of talk surrounding the build-up to this match about the impact that the man in the middle would have on this game. A lot of the discussion centred around how he would control the ruck or the interpretation of the surrender tackle. But a lucky escape there with Waterhouse losing the ball.
Hold, go.
And just as well, I dare say we would have heard a lot more about that post-match. As it is, the Aussies still scoreless. A quarter of an hour has elapsed here at Telstra. Here's the second phase, courtesy of Rahihi. He loves an offload. Jones looking for support. Play on Vangana. Nice hands indeed.
Well, if Australia's going to hot potato it out the back door, what do you think New Zealand's going to do? That's what they need to do in the middle of the field. That's what created the second try for Torpy, but I like the way they're going about it. They're putting some pressure on. The game has only just settled down, and New Zealand 12-0 on the scoreboard.
But the side that can find some composure right now, there's a sense that it's starting to come a little unravelled, starting to lose your shape. Defence will allow you to sort of just take your time and get it back in order.
Brent Tate, one of a handful, only a handful of Queenslanders selected for this Australian side. He goes to ground, 10 short of halfway. Badiris himself back in the Aussie lineup. And look at this, was there obstruction there? Ganson says no, the ball went backwards. Badiris, Seven-a-Seaver, there's the step, here's the charge, still going. See you later, Paul Rahihi. Big man on big man, there was no contest. The Aussies, they'll come this left side. Johns, the playmaker. Now Lockyer, back for Kennedy. Kennedy for the line, surely he will get there. Yes, he does. Ben Kennedy has got Australia on the board, subject to confirmation from the man upstairs.
A yawning hole, says Ben Kennedy. Well, they've gone upstairs. What will they be looking for? Has he lost the ball and grounding it? He's short, it's not a double movement. He reaches out.
Well, look, I'll call it now. He's lost it. Lost it short.
And Brent Webb knows it as well. That's half a smile you've got there.
He was entitled to score. Let's not lose sight of that. I can't believe this. Ben Kennedy, the scrum-based trio combining. That ball seemingly just a little out of shot as far as we're concerned upstairs, but the end on looks very dubious.
And at the moment, look at Brent Webb, the player that puts himself in a position. The impact, the ball, the tackle, hits the ground and dislodges the ball out of Kennedy's arms.
But does the point of the ball actually touch the chalk as he puts it down?
Well,
I don't think you'll get a clear angle of this, although this one will. The boot of Webb might just take that out, and that looks to be short.
Absolutely.
This is touch and go, as I see it. We've got two video referees here tonight, one from either side of the Tasman. Steve Carroll from Australia, Artie Clark from New Zealand.
Well, I hope Artie Clark's nice and dominant up there in the box.
In fact, Ian McIntosh is the video ref.
And there's Artie Clark's sideline there. And we know what's going through his head at the moment.
Got a cast of thousands here. Would-be refs.
We got Ian McIntosh, another New Zealand up bit, helping out.
Artie Clark would have enjoyed the plug.
Oh, he would have.
Australia won't enjoy this if they're denied. Kennedy claiming the try. Steve Carroll, Artie Clark, they're the sideline officials. Chris Ward and Ian McIntosh. They are the two men who count. And no try. We've got a problem with the technology at Telstra. Brian McLennan can breathe a little easier. It is still 12-0. It is no try.
And that's still Arthur Clark on screen there as well. But some ominous signs when you've got the Newcastle firm looking to unlock the defensive strategy of the Kiwi side. John's going across and then putting it inside for Kennedy.
So put that down in your notebook. 17th minute of the game. A let off for New Zealand. Still two converted tries in this one. Here is Pritchard.
Well, let's just call it evens now, 1-1.
Rahihi, he hits it up. Thundering upfield. Taken by Stephen Price. McLennan working the overtime on that walkie-talkie.
Ball and hold here. Hold. Steve Price. Boys, hands off the ball.
Kidwell now crossing halfway. This has been most impressive from New Zealand, keeping in mind last time they came to this venue, they lost 52-0. Now, Webb getting the kick away. King with the fumble. Talk about a clumsy klutz.
These things help. Webb on debut, puts it down, coughs up the most simplest of catches, and it was Webb. Nice left foot boot, didn't try and overcook it. Nice and low, big guy, doesn't bend his knees to get down to the ball. And New Zealand come up with a smart play. Would have been happier for it to find the ground, but we'll take the result anyway.
And equally as important for the Kiwis right now is they're enjoying nearly 70-30% possession, allowing them to keep their bench intact, yet to go there right now. Kangaroos have used one.
They miss out Vangana. Webb now starting to straighten. Brent Webb will score! I can't believe this. It is one-way traffic at Telstra. The #1 scores New Zealand's third try.
And
It
really,
is 16-0.
and smart play by the Kiwis as well. You've got Waterhouse out there, you've got Tate on the wing, so you put a little fast man on a big man. Yes, he may have had history. Waterhouse may have played centres in the years gone by, but he's not playing there now. He's a back rower. Now look at the footwork coming up from Brent Webb. He spots him, he targets him, and he gets around him.
And the guys on the outside had good depth, Peter, and that's what helped make it. They were standing wide. They gave the little man room. If you stand chalk to chalk out wide, you can create a hole early on, and he went straight past Johns. Joey flies out at him. They're backing off. Waterhouse has already gone up too far, and he's just turned into a chaser. And then, well, just shows him the heels. Says, have a look at my Pumas. I'm going over.
That's it with Johns moving up quick as well. The defensive line with Waterhouse out there, a little unaccustomed, found himself in no man's land, gone too quick. Brent Webb, he came up with the try-saving tackle only moments ago on Kennedy down the other end, and now he becomes a try scorer, the #1.
So two big plays there from the Queensland-bred Kiwi. Warriors custodian back in the New Zealand side, of course, did not play in the Anzac Test in Brisbane back in April.
Well, my colleague here, DJ, you've got a smirk on your face there. Come on, give it to me.
Well, Costo calls him a Queensland Kiwi. I just call him a Kiwi.
Check his passport, check the scoreboard. Jones has converted yet again. Look at that, do not adjust your set. Midway through term #1, it is 18 blot.
Cosso, this is something that the Kiwis were hoping would happen to maintain possession and get their back line working. And Benji, when you think about this, the Kangaroos 18 points as they kick off, that's certainly not an insurmountable lead.
Yeah, definitely. It's very important the Kiwis stay on their game and they complete their sets. You know, you don't want to go and throw the ball around and just lose possession and give the Aussies an easy way back in.
Boy, still an outer player, and the Kangaroos' night gets worse. Tamana Tahu gone for the night. That's a gone for the night hamstring.
And what's making their night difficult as well at the moment as Lanto Hire looks to find something up the middle is the error count, possession and field possession all going against the green and gold, something that the Kiwis were wanting if they weren't to be with half a chance of winning this game tonight.
And just to put you in the picture of the error count, 5 errors for Australia and none for New Zealand.
A damning stat there. No doubt about that as we move into the second portion of this first half. Here's the last. Jones has got the ball in hand. He pumps it downtown. And not a bad kick either. In the corner for Minicello. The Roosters fullback looking to position Tate. Thought otherwise though. Look at this. Big defence. Oh, hello. Put him in the rodeo. They've almost jammed him in the in goal. Paul Fatawira, the two-time premiership winner, with a big driving tackle.
And one of the big defending centres he got in the game of rugby league in the NRL this season as well, Paul Fatawira.
Not bad for a bloke who's been cut from 3 different clubs, 2 premiership rings, and playing the night with his boyhood idol in Stacey Jones, who makes the tackle here. Australia under the pump. Johns with the kick. Looking for some metres, looking for touch. Here's the chase. Here's Webster. Doesn't find the line, but still a super kick from Johns, and Webster takes the tackle inside his own red zone. Here's a change coming up. Jason Riles, a big bopper with his boarding pass.
Costo, 2 interchanges coming from the Kiwis as well. Rahihi off, Asatasi on, and Nathan Kalis waiting for his boarding pass as well. It's all on just after the 20-minute mark.
And you'd expect Roy Asatasi to play out the half as well. Paul Rahi coming off, normally sitting around the 45-minute mark in terms of game time. Roy Asatasi straight into the action.
And the Bulldog front row forward into enemy territory. Nice pick up here from Webb as he turned it back on the inside, so New Zealand continuing to grow in confidence here. Vangana, the standoff, he plays it. Here's the last. Hohaya realises that. He got the ball away. The kick will go over the sideline. Matt King decided to play it safety first.
Well, Matt King going there again is a smart move after the fumble in this one. Well, looks like he could have just got a hand on it or had a crack at it, but wasn't interested. Let it bounce and go into touch, and that suits the New Zealand cause. Slow the game down. Sure, we've just got fresh troops on there, but we're coming off a good period.
And let's not forget all the discussion about the wingmen. You had the two debutants for the Kiwis up to a little bit more experience, but not specialist wingers. Nice touch, Lance Hohaya, to find touch.
And the pass was somewhat dodgy there. King it was who did well to keep his eye on the football.
The Kiwis here have got him into position. A kick allows them to get some composure, get some shape to their defensive game. Now looking to force the area. The Kangaroos, they just want to get to their set, get to the end, get a kick, put him down the other end.
Craig Fitzgibbon, the former Churchill medalist, plays it back. And now Kennedy denied that try, when seemingly he was there. Play continues here. Flat pass. See you later. That was a nice little fend there from Jason Riles, I believe. He crosses the halfway line. Here is the last. Johns again some pressure thanks to Pritchard. The midfield bomb. Vartuve doesn't want a bar of it. The Kangaroos have still got it. Lockyer with the kick. The charge down from Webb. And over the sideline she goes.
We've seen some good pressure applied to the Kangaroo number 7, Andrew Johns, tonight. There's not been that many occasions where he's been able to get a kick away with no pressure at all. Vartuve staying away from the ball in air, but being able to commit the tackle well.
So effectively 6 to go here for the Green and Goals. Just what they wanted, considering the tackling practice they have endured so far. Back-to-back sets. Minicello in possession. And just for a moment there, I thought he was going to penetrate the line. He plays it back for Waterhouse. And Price now hits it up. 5 short of the line. Quick play the ball. Good stuff. Minicello with a step. And he goes to ground. On their own goal line here, New Zealand. A test in defence. Johns. Lockyer. Here's pressure. Did the ball go forwards? No, says the referee. Australia still have got it. Couple of tackles to survive here, New Zealand. Gasnier plays it back. And now, marshalling troops. Was there obstruction? Maybe a Shepherd. It looked very, very...
It doesn't matter, though. But one thing that the Kangaroos can look to, the Kiwi defensive line, they're moving up exceptionally quick. We saw them put pressure on Lockyer. Look for a little chip. Just put it over the edge.
Just going to make the point, it looked very disorganised, almost a mix-up. We talk about Johns running the show all week. You wouldn't know it on that play.
Well, we touched on a pre-game as well, that when you've got a 6 and a 7 who both like to control the game, they also lost in the early encounter against New Zealand A. Wonderful game of football. But when you got two guys who like to control the football, like to get it in hand, as Lockyer said during the week, work in progress. Kedwell, half break, and he looks to the outside, and Webster.
He finds his Melbourne teammate. It's still on here for New Zealand. Fatawira got it away to Webster. Now back on the inside. Jones goes to ground. Now the last coming up. Hohaya senses an opportunity on the blind side. Must be a try, if not offside play. Pritchard claims the 4 points. No, says Ganson. They didn't even check the tape.
I was on the sideline. He scored that try, boys. I was on that corner. He scored that try.
But guys, we can all talk about the man in the middle. Ganson, Artie Clark's got a front up here. The sideline touch judge needs to give him a hand.
He needs to check his glasses.
Peter, was Artie.
Or his eyes. I can't believe they did not even check the tape.
Well, I can't believe they haven't called not only for the tape, but it must have been a penalty. He was tackling him in offside position. There's a big hit from Torpy, and he's lost the ball.
Oh, he's gone on with the job. Nothing wrong with that. Now they're getting restless. Clinton Torpy with 2 tries plus the big shot. Oh, you gotta love that.
But if this is a guy that's the best in the UK at the moment, he's certainly coming a little short of the mark. Down in the corner, if he is the best in the UK, down here right in the corner.
Technique, okay, mate. It's a balance.
Are you kidding me? Check your tackling technique.
Yeah, well, I know he's done a bit of work.
Have a look at this.
I know he's done a bit of work, Daryl, in that department. You can't fault him for that. That's copybook.
We've seen it all through the year, that you put someone in a position that can compromise. There's something that comes at the end of it.
Well, we won't harp on the referee, but Russell Smith was
But I
probably
will-
he was the front runner for this game. I know he was in my hometown last night at a function. Couldn't believe he missed out on this job, but Ganson under all sorts of pressure as we see another turnover, and New Zealand do come up with it.
And that is justice again.
But right now, the one thing that the Kiwis are doing well through Roy Asatasi is capitalising on opportunities that have been presented by the Kangaroos and coming up with a number of errors. Again, they go down the short side. Paul Whatuira.
Whatuira is chopped down. Lovely tackle from Brent Tate.
Another nightmare coming for the Kangaroos. Another ball playing forward on now. David Solomona for Kidwell.
Kidwell back in the on the bench, and Solomona, his first outing for New Zealand in 3 years, as New Zealand go across to Pritchard. And look at this, they seem to be causing some problems out wide here at New Zealand. Clinton Torpey has lost it though, and a little bit of sledging to boot.
A little bit of sledging, but so important. Clinton Torpey just keeps himself out of the main games. One that could be a little bit prone to being involved, but just have a little glimpse right now. Clinton 18 zip. You've got the game, you're in control. Keep it going the way that it started.
Interesting move, Solomona on. We have seen a very, very open game of football so far, and this man does have some skills.
Boys, I'm sitting here with a wide-eyed Benji Marshall who just can't believe what's going on. Benji, 10-0, and there's a little over 12 minutes to go in the half. I mean, you've got to just hold these boys out because they're forcing Australia to make mistakes.
Yeah, definitely. The defence is bruising out there, you know, and it's not Australia making mistakes, it's the defence that's making them make the mistakes.
Feels good being on sideline watching the boys at the head, though, doesn't it?
Oh, it's good to watch, it would be better if I was playing.
Amen to that.
Yes, and our thanks to Benji Marshall. Great to see him suiting up as part of the Sky Sport commentary team here tonight in Sydney town. Almost half an hour gone. It is 18-0. Australia with plenty of work to do, especially if that keeps coming up.
Well, you talk about the brutal defence. There's another example of it. But you talk also about an expansive game, one looking for second phase and offload. This is not the second phase expansive game that Coach Wayne Bennett just got no shape to their attack. It's a lot ad-libbed. It's all over the place at the moment. It's messy. Half-time can't come soon enough for them.
They are rattled. Australia. This is not what we've come to expect. Here's the last. Johns with the big kick. Webb's got a good look at it. Takes it calmly and cleanly. One of two try scorers thus far. Torpey with the double, of course. So it has certainly gone to plan as far as the new coach is concerned. Brian McLennan, what a dream start for him.
Well, the attention to detail was very, very thorough indeed, along with the support crew and the likes of Graham Norton, Tony Iro, all heavily involved. The one thing they've encouraged and worked on, and so far there's still plenty of football in this game, but what they're deploying right now is attention to detail, doing the simple stuff, and they're doing it well.
Here's Solomona, two-time grand finalist in the NRL from the Wakefield club in the UK. Ohio crosses halfway. Here's the last. Jones with the kick. Big meters here from New Zealand. Topped off by the boot. Minicello with some work to do. Links up with Tate. Spots an opening. Goes past Jones. Goes past Pritchard. Has got pace. There go the afterburners. That's why they selected him. Brent Tate. Look at this. This is unbelievable. Brent Tate says, "Cop that, all you critics." And Australia get on the score sheet thanks to some brilliance from this Bronco three-quarter. That was breathtaking stuff.
A lot of controversy surrounding the selection of Tate over Cooper, but he's done it throughout the final series. This is a player that many thought we would not see return in 2005. He came home in the back end, now has the brace to support his neck, but he's been doing it. He runs the lines, he runs the angles, and he's got physical presence to boot as well. A wonderful try by a good centre.
A wonderful try and a great turn of speed. Look at the chase from Asatasi. I thought he might have just about nailed him as Lockyer looms up in support, but he's too strong. Good upper body strength. And then Webb comes late and he dusts him as well. Certainly is under pressure all week on both sides of the Tasman. Australia media as well. They thought Cooper was the man. But Tate, well, give credit where credit's due. That's a fine run.
And if there's one Warriors fan who would have enjoyed that, his name's Stephen Price. He happens to play for the club. He's Tate's brother-in-law.
And Wayne Bennett as well. He'll be absolutely wrapped in the fact that, yeah, here's a guy that sometimes you question whether or not he can ever win. Whatever he says is questioned. He reduced the squad from 23 to 17, and he still came up with a lot of criticism. But pretty hard to go past that selection.
Terrific start from Tate. There's the neck brace, which has really allowed his career to continue, and it seemed all was lost. What a job they have done in that respect. Here's the kick from Fitzgibbon. He's missed it. Tate's try goes unconverted, but Australia on the board here. 32 gone. It is 18-4.
Interesting also Fitzgibbon taking the shots at goal. As we see another replay of Tate. I thought Andrew Johns would have stepped up, in the person he is, wanting to do the lot. But Fitzgibbon, fine kicker in his own right. There's Tate. Well, don't you think he just loves that?
Well, it'll be interesting, the selection for game 2 at Ericsson next Friday as well, because Wayne Bennett has come out and said Cooper will play the next one, while he didn't have a good outing in his up against the NZAs earlier on tonight. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Perhaps Matt King's ears are burning. We are back underway at Telstra. Trust you're enjoying the telecast. Maybe not that play, though. Here's a penalty. That's a soft turnover, a 50-metre game, just like that. Out on the full, smart stuff from the Roos.
Pritchard was the kicker. Huge off the boot. But power isn't everything. And now, with 7.5 minutes to go till half-time, New Zealand find themselves under the pump and now copping repeat sets.
And so far what we've had is perhaps a Johns-Lockyer combination, perhaps not finding the success. Gower in the acting half will certainly add a little bit more about just keeping it nice and simple, as Seven Nasiva does exactly that up the middle.
Certainly nothing fancy from the big man. He plays it back. Gower from dummy half. Gower looking to penetrate the line. He goes to ground, 5 short of it. Minicello, the acting half. Johns back on the inside. Kennedy takes them on. The Manly back row forward, right in front of the sticks, a couple out. Gower, Johns with the stab and the try. Andrew Johns scores just like that. Arguably the best player on the planet has delivered Australia's second try. 6 before the break, the margin's back to 10.
As it starts to open up, he knows when to run, that is for sure. This game has been open for the last, well, since the whistle really, and just look at him. Pritchard comes up with nothing and actually slips over, and they can't hang on to him, and he's too strong from there.
And expect the messages to be going down as well. Pritchard, he was involved in the kickoff. Too much power behind that one, and then again on that misplay on Andrew Johns. Close to the line, you've got to get up in their face. Allow them to run. You do it at your own peril. This game is far from over. Moments ago feeling a little excited, but now 18-8, possibly 18-10 coming up. It's game on all over again.
Here's the kick from Fitzgibbon. This time he's made the correction. Andrew Johns supplying the magic from close range. 5 before the break. It is 18-10.
And also what we've got right now, sorry Stephen, but what we've got right now is the Kiwis being punished for the mistakes, just as they have done to the Kangaroos.
You almost sense that Andrew Johns said, OK, boys, we're behind him. Time to lead by example, and that's exactly what he is doing. The Kiwis had better be very, very wary.
All of a sudden, it is game on at Telstra in game 1 of the Tri-Nations. This time, they make sure of it with the restart. Seven Nasiva winds up, looking to thrust his way through the first wave of defenders. He got it up to the 20-metre line, and now Riles, big unit, isn't he? Looking for the offload there just for a second. Here's the mistake. Faganar's got it. No way.
You are kidding.
That's exactly what Nigel is saying to Ganson.
You are kidding. There was definitely an offload in there.
We'll look at the replay. You judge for yourself. Riles versus the defence, looking for the offload. 2 on the tackle. Well, again, we keep coming back to ball security. The onus on the ball carrier.
Well, he actually lost the ball, and Vagana's presence there actually trapped the ball between them. And then he thought it was free, so he's grabbed it with nothing else. Possibly should have just let it go and hit the ground. He would have picked up the ball. But this is dangerous. Australia with all the possession at the right time in the end of the first half.
Well, that's exactly it. Coming into the close of the first half, you're into that critical period. To be given field position at this point, at this stage of the game, again with Seven Nasiva, the simple stuff, starting to return, getting their game in order.
Fitzgibbon now looking to put some footwork on Hohire. 3 in the tackle for New Zealand. Australia 18 metres out from the goal line. Gower zipping from dummy half. Lockyer, here's an opportunity. Here's a wraparound. Minicello, and there's a try in the corner, is it? No. Last-ditch defence denying Gasnier. They'll check the tape here, but the nephew of the great Puff the Magic Dragon, Reg Gasnier, does not look too confident.
Body language will tell you he hasn't grounded the ball, and Vatuvai, has he done enough to get him onto his back? Gets his hand in there, which is great. Goes to ground there.
Well, maybe
that looks like it possibly is a try on that angle. He might have something to smile about.
he didn't look too excited.
Well, obviously didn't know and couldn't tell how close he was. Has a foot or something gone to touch, or
I think
his backside might have hit the chalk. Might have been the saviour, Costo.
I'm with you. Forget Tahu's backside. This is the one that counts.
But does it touch it first?
This is a tough one again, you could say, for Chris Ward and Ian McIntosh, the two men who are the eye in the sky here tonight.
Well, a passage of play which has seen all Australia, when you consider New Zealand's nearly scored in the opposite corner, and since then Australia, this could be their third try. That won't tell you when the ball goes down or when his backside, shall we refer to it, hits the chalk.
So an anxious moment here for Wayne Bennett and the Australians. So too the Kiwis. They have given it. Gasnier has been awarded the try. So after 3 straight tries to New Zealand, the Kangaroos have gone bang, bang, bang.
Well, it was too tough to call. They needed to get one call in the match for sure. The ball from Lockyer and then the exchange. Minicello just has to catch and pass. Vatuvai, I thought, had done so well. Had a man outside and King. The input of Gower, has that made the difference? Rolls has been good in their go forward as well. And the finish, well, they don't overplay their hand. And yes, Gasnier, he's got one.
Mark Gasnier, great name in rugby league, especially for all you St George people. And speaking of Dragons, here's a former in Craig Fitzgibbon. Started his football with the Dapto Canaries. What a nickname for a footy side. Tough assignment. They don't come much tougher. He's pushed it to the left. So Gasnier's try goes unconverted. We have a 4-point spread here with 2 to go in the first half.
Another replay of it. And we're watching Stacey Jones and everyone else back off. I'm interested in the interchange movements from Coach McLennan. He's got both Faumu and Hohire on the field at the moment. I thought that would have been a straight change and has had it for the last 15 minutes.
Another restart here for Frank Pritchard. Lockyer diffuses it and hands it on to his Brisbane teammate, Sivana Siva. If you joined us late, it was 18-0 after 20 minutes. And now Australia well and truly back in this one. Kennedy looking for the offload. There it was. Here's the support. Minicello on the loose. And he's got back up. The pass is okay, says the referee. And now look at this. Brent Tate back on the inside. They pick it up. They scramble. And look at this. Gower a metre short. Johns over the top. Simple stuff try. Brent Tate grabs a double. And the Aussies are back on top here at the flick of a switch.
Stunned for words, Costo. Absolutely stunned for words. A passage of play, which, like I say, all started with a no try to New Zealand about 15 minutes ago, and I won't harp on about that anymore, but a brilliant ball from Kennedy. And Minicello, he just seems to find his feet in all situations. Question mark on that pass. This one's a ripper, a speculator. Did it travel forward? You can't tell on the camera angle. And then the finish off. They could have tied it up here and just about did, but short to this side, and Johns, well, up and over he goes, basketball style. No one out there. Tate, well, the most unpeculiar, or peculiar, should I say, way of scoring a try, but it means the same.
I think we call that an assist in basketball.
Bad news, though, for the Kiwis on the middle of the field. Lance O'Hire and all sorts of bother, boys. Brent Tate gets number 2 for the night. They are holding his left ankle. He is in all sorts of bother. In fact, they've crossed their arms. The doctor there is suggesting he's gone. He is in a lot of pain. So Lance O'Hire looks like he's going to even those benches up to 3 each, with Tamata Tahu gone because of the hamstring problem. So it's all turning to custard right now, with the scores at 18-0 and less than, or just over a minute to go in the half.
Having an absolute whale of a game as well, Lance O'Hire has been one of the best. His work from dummy half's been superb. Ducking out, running, 7 hit-ups, and he's thrown himself into the tackles as well. Just catch a replay now of Minicello. He's not a big guy, but his balance is just massive, as we see it there.
Ouch.
He gets clipped under Nigel. If you see O'Hire, he falls like a racehorse falling over another one.
I'm glad we didn't see that at Caulfield today.
We might get it here. Oh, there. Achilles on picking.
This is a body blow here for New Zealand, with obvious implications for the interchange. Speaking of the bench, let's go downstairs with Steve.
Oh, well, Benji, the boys were leading 18 now. It's all levelled up, and the Kiwis are set, or the Kangaroos set to go up 20-18 at the split. Possession has cost them. The Kangaroos, with their possession, finally got the machine going.
Yeah, definitely. It all started from that kickoff that went dead. You know, you can't afford things like that. Just little things in a game that definitely count.
Someone also on the way down spoke with Phil Gord, and he made it quite clear that when you've got your foot on the pedal, you just cannot take it off the throat of the Kangaroos. You did exactly that, Benji, by kicking it out on the full, 2 penalties on the back of it, and you've invited a team back into the game who the Kangaroos up until that point, Stephen, they weren't even in it.
No, they were gone, and the funny thing is, you know, one kick, Andrew Johns comes in, Benji, and suddenly this machine is just clicking over, it's rocking.
Yeah, definitely. You can't let a guy like Andrew Johns get his momentum and get into a game, you know, and the Kiwis definitely let it back in, and, you know, it could be trouble for the Kiwis.
Well, it certainly feels like trouble sitting on the side. We're all jumping up and down and punching and clapping and doing all sorts of things. Now it's down to a 3-man bench for both sides, so tactics in the second half, Peter, going to play a very big part. We talked about how the benches were going to use. They're now both under pressure.
Well, we talked about how you would use it, and for much of that first 20 minutes, we see a picture there of Faiumu. He is a player that's now going to be caught into it. Traditionally, we see him playing up around the 40-minute mark. He's now going to play exactly that, 40 minutes of football. I think he'll relish the opportunity to come back in on the second half and play knowing he's going to be there for 40 minutes.
I think, quite briefly, an important time that half-time is coming. If they're trailing by 2, Bluey will not be too unhappy.
Stephen, it can't come soon enough. This makes for ugly viewing. You good folk on New Zealand soil as we see the Huntley Hurricane leave the arena. Lance O'Hire, his work for the night has come to an abrupt end, sadly.
And possibly for the rest of the Tri-Nations as well, if those pitches would tell you. Fitzgibbon, not a great night with the boot, lines up a tough one.
Fitzgibbon from way out. Can he hook it around? No, not tonight, not on that occasion. Australia, with 4 consecutive tries, have tied up the ball game. Just before the break, it is 18 apiece.
New Zealand very slow to restart this game, and why wouldn't they be? 28 seconds the way the last 7 minutes has gone. That's plenty of time for these Australians. Well, plenty of time for Andrew Johns anyway.
Kiwis coming to Sydney tonight to bury a hoodoo that goes way back to 1959 in the harbour city. Haven't won, in fact, on Aussie soil in 14 years. They had the best possible start, but now that counts for nothing. Tied ball game, and the last play of the first 40, you would think. Seven Asiva goes to ground. He will not be in a hurry here, but he plays it back. Gower, Johns, he's still thinking of points. Kick over the top. The Aussies aren't finished. Here they go again. They're hungry for points. Look at this, razzle dazzle. Siren sounds in the background. Australia, they're going to come up with one of the great tries. No! Darren Lockyer with the fumble. What a finish to the opening stanza. Just when you think the Aussies put the cue in the rack, it was anything but that. 40 gone here at Telstra in game 1 of the Tri-Nations. It is 18 apiece. Welcome back to Telstra Stadium here at Homebush Bay in Sydney's west. And, well, what a tournament opener we have seen thus far. The first half, well, one of two halves. 18 consecutive points to the men in black, then 18 consecutive points to the green and golds. Quite remarkable, that first 40.
We're all gobsmacked for sure at half-time, Costo, thinking New Zealand had kicked out to what seemed like, well, pretty much on their way. But they knew they weren't going to win the game at half-time. The second half was always going to be crucial. A real coach's dilemma now in the sheds. Bluey, well, he's right in amongst it. What does he say to his troops? Don't need to talk about the first half. He knew he had to have some plays in the second half that were going to win this. Can he instill that in this Kiwi side?
To get them back on doing what they did at the beginning.
So we have a look in the locker rooms there. Bluey McClellan seemingly still quite upbeat. Some encouragement there for David Solomona for the second 40 here.
Of course, when he introduced David Solomona to the game, it became a defensive game. Australia got all the possession, and Solomona very much an attacking player. He'll be expecting big things from him in the second half. He has had just the one hit up, Solomona, for the 6 tackles, but that was how possession went late in the game. Look at the Australians, they're buoyant. They've got some ball schools going in their room. New Zealand sucking in the big ones, and a real test for them in the second half. The dummy half work from Ohio was brilliant in the first half. Best I've seen him play.
Lockyer was emphatic, talking about the combination between him and Johns would be a work in progress, and as the game progressed and as the tournament progressed, towards the back end is when you'll see the best. So if this is what is in store, they finished the first 40 quite outstanding, starting to find some movement. The passes were starting to stick and starting to give back to the Kiwis what they gave to them in the first 20 minutes, and that's about capitalizing on errors, on mistakes.
But they've got to keep making them play, Peter. Sure, Andrew Johns has found some touches as New Zealand. Well, they dig deep and they'll need to, but they've got to keep making these guys play. Make them throw those long balls. That's where the errors are. They've got to push up and back themselves in defence. You're not going to hold them out all day, but you've got to try and turn as much of their attack into your attack by good defence.
Well, it's also about being aware as well, and being aware of what is outside the likes of Andrew Johns. The try that Tate got right at the end, extremely disappointing. A lack of awareness of what was outside. All the focus, all the attention was on the number 7. Then was able to put a netball pass, lobby it over the top, and find an unmarked Tate. That's about awareness, and that's about recognising what's around you.
It is, but that's in the past, and we've got something in the future here, and it's all locked up at 18 all.
So here they come. Australia been on top of the pile internationally since the late 1970s. In fact, their colours were last lowered in 1978 when beaten 2-0 in France. New Zealand looking to upset the apple cart here. Out they come, the men in black, the Crisco Kiwis, the fans. They certainly haven't given up here tonight. They're expecting big things from the visitors in this second 40. A lot of expats in the crowd, perhaps looking at Nigel Vunganar's rather unusual hairstyle. Let's go sideline and catch up with Graham Norton, who is, of course, the right-hand man to Brian McLennan.
Graham, what was said?
Well, the first thing is that the coaches looked at the whole team, got their frame of mind positive again so we can enter into this half strong. The other thing is we've got to start winning a bit of the ground battle to slow them up a bit. We can do that. We're winning the contest when everything's square.
All right, Lance Ohio, how bad?
At the moment, it's a suspected broken ankle, but he won't be back.
Go get him, mate.
Absolutely.
So here we go. Our thanks to Graham Norton for that insight into what was said in the locker rooms at the split. Here we go, second 40 underway, game 1 of the Gillette Tri-Nations. We are live from Telstra Stadium, and here is Seven Asiva, who of course has really become the cornerstone of this Australian pack since the retirement of Shane Webke.
And the comment there made by Graham Norton was spot on. The one thing that they recognised coming in and that they wanted above all was parity. Parity with possession and completion and errors. They started, they got it. They need to return to it.
Kennedy plays it. And Gower from dummy half hands it on to Fitzgibbon. He goes to ground. 4 short of halfway. Opening minute of the second 40. Johns, Seven Asiva. They wait for him. Solomona upstairs. Down below, the kid from Wainui Yamada, David Faumu. On debut, of course, tonight. Here's the kick from Johns. And a soft bounce for Jake Webster.
Australia back and hold.
Steve Ganson ordering the Australians to get back on side as the beast, number 2 that is, Vartuve, Kevin Ira, of course, the man who had that nickname, that moniker in the good old days, if you like. New Zealand now, 35 out from their own line.
And something that Vatuvei can bring to the game as well, not unlike Wendell Saylor with the Broncos, was to operate as a 6 forward, get in there and assist with the go forward as Faumu comes out the acting half.
Something he does very well. This is encouraging, enterprising play from New Zealand. 15 metres, Australia side of halfway on the last. Gower supplying some pressure on Jones. Who's the alternative kicker? It's Vangana. His kick is a shocker. And look at that, Australia with Minicello didn't have much work to do.
But the signs are not good. We talked about more often than not, Stacey Jones will be the go-to player. The defending side will look to apply pressure, so it's so important that there is a backup, someone who can step up to receive, give him options. Nigel Vagana, it all went astray.
Lockyer looking to pose a question or two out wide for New Zealand in defence. Gasnier zipping away from dummy half. 10 short of halfway on this western side of the ground. 10 in from touch. Lockyer hands the pass on to Kennedy it is. He crosses halfway. Here comes the last, as called by Steve Ganson, our friend from the north of England, if I could call him that. Johns with the kick. And Webb with the retrieval mission. 3, 4 green and gold jumpers to greet him. He is easy prey.
Here it is, the war of attrition in the second half. Totally different to the first half when it was really open. And now both teams feeling each other out. Johns finding the ground. New Zealand, their first kick wasn't a great one, although it did land in the 20. Can they do it again in return serve?
Solomona in the fancy headgear. Eventually he succumbs in the tackle of Sivanasiva, Fitzgibbon and Riles as they all peel off. Play on's the call. Faumu is stopped in his tracks, doesn't go too far. The Cowboys interchange player. Of course, played in the grand final here not that long ago. Here's the last, here's the kick. Webb, and again, far from his best. Kennedy couldn't quite believe it.
I think unless we get some correction in that department, we're going to see the beginning of something that's going to go horribly wrong here in the back half of this test match here at Telstra Stadium.
So I was going to make the point, that's back-to-back dodgy kicks on the last, not a good look.
Not a good look, and that set of 6 didn't have anything doing from it, and now a penalty, and deserved so, as Waterhouse gets absolutely castled. Intent, I'm not too sure. Sloppiness, perhaps. Ends up in a vertical position, lands on his head and his shoulder. But yes, the New Zealand set of 6 here had nothing in it. They didn't make ground, and a poor kick on the end of it. And to boot a penalty in the first tackle, suicide.
And speaking of penalties, 5-1 to the locals. Pritchard sucking in the big ones. He looks guilty, does he not? I think they're checking the tape here. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes on report at the very least.
It was nasty. It was a tackle that you don't like seeing, and perhaps the most pleasing part was Waterhouse was able to stand up and straight to his feet. But some ominous signs in that last passage of play there. You had Stacey Jones pushing to the centre, telling David Faumu, telling David Solomona, 2 new players into the fray. That's where I want to go. At the moment, things not going as well as you'd want. Now they're on D.
Ryle thundering upfield, got up out the back door. Gower, Sivanasiva, one big bopper, now another one. They just keep coming, the Aussies, don't they? New Zealand camped on their own goal line. Gower relieving Badeiras, and a soft turnover there. Ben Kennedy, he must have just momentarily took his eyes off the football, and you probably get the impression he wasn't too happy with that play.
Well, the person you're perhaps not too happy with is the man in the middle at the moment. I was surprised how long it took him to actually blow the whistle. The Kiwis certainly had no interest in doing it. That is ugly.
Yeah, we're going to hear more about that. Surely the video match reviewers will check that at the completion of this game. The international panel that has been put together to look at such incidents.
I'd suggest also that the spotlight will be on the man in the middle as well.
Undoubtedly. Here's Solomona. Solomona with a buffeting run. And look at him going. Great body strength. Kept the ball alive for Faumu. Here's some second phase. Much better. The ball's been knocked down. Should be 6 to go if they've played at it. Ganson thinks otherwise. 6 gone in the second stanza. Still 18 apiece. Lovely left foot step. Characteristic step from Faumu. You've got to love that. New Zealand now seemingly on a bit of a roll themselves. As Atazi plays it back. Kedwell, the stormtrooper from Melbourne, he goes to ground. Now the last has been signalled. Jones, the go-to man with the bomb. Someone sound the air raid siren. Minicello, well, he can do no wrong.
Well, there's a lovely story in the Sydney Morning Herald today about how Minicello perfects the ability to catch the ball, not on the chest, but on his hands. Time with tennis balls when everybody clears the park. He's still out there with assistant coach John Cartwright catching tennis balls.
Not only did he catch the ball and get the set of 6 started for him, the first 3 tackles and that, the Australians all landed on their front, got up and played the ball quickly, and look where they are.
On the attack, that's where they are, 30 out from the New Zealand goal line. Final play coming up now for the home side. And the kick has been hoisted by Johns. Oh, what a mix-up calamity at the back for New Zealand! The Aussies claim the try, they get the try with Matt King on debut for Australia. Seems to have scored here to put the Kangaroos in front for the first time tonight. Again, they will check the tape.
On debut early in the match, King put one down, and from there Webb ran from the scrum and scored. And now his opponent also on debut puts one down. Checking if he's onside, no problem there. A good meter. And the difficult thing about this is Vatuvai had good cover and had no one to contest the ball against. He goes up right on the basket, possibly didn't need to go in the air, had plenty of cover, and then King just drops it down. Now, has he knocked the ball on as he's gathered the ball up? That is going to be the only saving grace. And that looks okay. And if you're Australian, that looks even better.
Yeah, would expect the green light to come up there.
Well, even a Martian would give that.
Yeah, there's perhaps a hint, but nothing more. You've got to be pretty black and white in the eye, I think, to even suggest that this would be anything other.
Yeah, this is a fait accompli. And if the alarm bells weren't singing at half-time, they certainly are now. Numbers are in the frame. And the former garbologist and barman, Matt King, his first game for Australia, puts the Kangaroos in front.
But a try that should never have happened. This should never have happened. And right now, Manu Vatuvai has to sit back there and pull it together and not allow it to affect it because he needs to get back in. Albeit that he's a debutant, the try should never have happened.
Well, not only Manu Vatuvai, should I say, the whole team needs to regather and realise that Australia were always going to score points in the second half. It's about what they do as Andrew Johns lines up a shot for Fitzgibbon, handing the duties over to Joey.
21 out from goal, about 18 from touch, and he's pushed it to the right. So goal kicking, somewhat of an Achilles heel for the Kangaroos. 8 gone in the second half, they lead by 4.
He certainly had the ball covered at all times. Unfortunately, just ineffective in being able to regather and allow the Kangaroos back in. The game at this stage in the opening stanza of the second 40 was really about just being patient, going forward. They were starting to find some fluency. The Kiwis are yet to find their game.
Yet another restart for the men in black. And yet another carry upfield for Sivanasiva. So the pendulum has certainly swung Australia's way. That was the case at the back end of the first half, and now it is reflected on the scoreboard. Andrew Ryan and Stephen Price warming up on the sideline. Wayne Bennett, obviously, he can smell a win here. He's looking to up the ante and to continue this onslaught. They've scored 22 consecutive points, and Kennedy wants more.
And Coach Brian McLennan wants more as well. Ruben Wiki looking to return to the field. They need someone to take charge, to give someone a ruck up, to remind them about what they were able to achieve and what they need to be able to complete. The Kangaroos, they're starting to come in the form of Johns.
Johns, in fact, supplying the kick on the last, and it will go touch in goal.
Solid through.
Wiki, the veteran himself, the stalwart of this New Zealand Test side. One-time centre, of course, with the Canberra Raiders. Getting ready for another taste of the action. Here's Kedwell.
Talking about a taste of the action, if there's some advice you can give to the youngster Manu Vatuvai, is get in and get a run under your belt. Put it behind you, move on.
Kalis now hits it up. Vangana is seemingly somewhat giddy there in back play. Solomona laying on a pass on this left side corridor. On the halfway line, New Zealand now, as Torpy plays it back. Wiki, his first touch since coming back into the battle. And again, commanding plenty of respect. Half an hour to go in the test match. Last tackle play coming up. Again, Jones under pressure. Jones threading the needle. Then goes another kick. Oh, look at this, Minicello. Again, as cool as a cucumber at the back. He just gobbled it up. And a risky pass to boot. Play on's the call. Waterhouse hits it up and steadies the ship.
The pressure on Stacey Jones. Three of them were lining him up. Bennett checked his kick, and Stacey Jones a little bit skillful for that as King coughs it up. New Zealand need this. No urgency to pick it up, however. We'll take the scrum. But yeah, Stacey Jones, plenty of pressure on him. Go higher off the field. Webb needs to come up and kick the football. I know his last one was a shocker, but he can kick the football.
And now so important that the Kiwis are able to turn this opportunity. They've been presented, they've been allowed to come back into the game. Both sides, when given these opportunities, now the outcome is about whether or not you're able to capitalise on. So important that they find a result on the end of this.
Brent Webb, first receiver, Vatawira. He goes to ground, 31 out from the Australian goal line. Webb, the acting half, serves up the ball now for Azatazi.
Second, but kick the hold. I've got you.
Fayumu comes the blind side, finds Torpy, hit and spin, doesn't fool the Aussies. 15 out from the goal line. I'll come back the open side now. Jones calling for it. He gets it. A dummy links up with Webb, and they go out the back line. Kedwell, pressure on the Aussies out wide. Vangana, nowhere to go. Smothering defence from Waterhouse on that occasion. Two more plays to go here. Jones, Kaelis, flat ball, play continues. Here's the last. What have they got? Stacey Jones, crossfield kick, looking for Vatuvei, the big man, the beast. He couldn't collect the football. The Kangaroos have got it. Pass is knocked down by Torpy. Has to be a knock on. The Aussies have survived. They will check the tape here, but seemingly it's a knock on.
The most important thing here, I think, what they're going to be looking for is whether or not he's actually played at the ball.
First take on it, they're all onside, but first take on it, he certainly played at the ball. Sticks his left mid out at it as we'll get the tape on it. Vatuvei goes up so well, and the ball rockets off King perhaps, and Lockyer, well, I thought he was going to put Minicello away and have a sprint here, but Torpy's too good for that. And yes, gets a hand to it for sure, and played it, yes, again, so knocked on in goal.
Torpy looking for a hat-trick, but it's certainly not on the cards here. Still plenty of time left in this test match. Game one of the Tri-Nations.
But the biggest difficulty the Kiwis are finding now is we get what we expect, a no-try 20-metre restart, is that so much of their go-to or so much of their game is about Stacey Jones. Someone in the form of either Brent Webb or Nigel Vagana need to get on the other side of the ruck and start to throw some questions at the Kangaroo defence. They're able to line up in position and take what's coming.
But also the area around the play of the ball, Peter. And that set of six, New Zealand, although it was well constructed, it was very slow in the play of the ball area. And you watch how quick Australia get up and play this football.
Azatazi working overtime in defence, and they force the mistake.
Okay, now you're given a second opportunity. For the Kangaroos, respectively, when we talk about marking up defensively, they're throwing the numbers. There's another example. You've got three in there. They peel off. They slow it down. They take the speed out of it. You've got to earn that right to play the ball quick.
The completion rate of the Kiwis has certainly kept them well and truly in this match. And that is despite enormous possession for Australia in the back end of that first half. Vatuvei, the big man, trying to bullock his way from dummy half. 20 metres out from the Australian goal line. Jones. Webb. Got some deft footwork. Got it out the back door. Jones has got it. Looking to conjure something up here for New Zealand. And Vatuvei goes to ground. Jones marshalling the troops at first receiver. He's got the footy. Now Kaelis, the former Kiwi captain, picked up the Thornett medal for Parramatta recently. But on play on's the call. Wiki plays to the whistle. The ball's been knocked down. Webb's got it. Not 6 to go. Yes, it is. Who's going to panic? Solomona does. Did not need to force the pass. Mustn't have heard the call. And the Aussies, they have dodged a bullet.
He's cut into the corner over there. He's back with his scrum here.
They have dodged a big bullet.
Yes, Dave Solomona, did he hear the call? Didn't know it was 6 to go. He's in the right end of the football field. Good shove off on Gaznia. And then the ball comes loose, ball security. Wasn't actually trying to pass it at all. And a second opportunity, you called it, Peter, goes begging.
Yeah, some interesting decisions here in the ruck area, and we're starting to see a little bit more. We talk about the speed of the ruck, the interpretation of the man in the middle. All starting to take on far greater importance as the scoreline 22-18 starts to become a little bit more magnified as to how he interprets and what he calls.
Stephen Price plays it back. Medeiros looking for runners. He finds one. His name is Craig Fitzgibbon, taken by Wiki. Kidwell lending some assistance. Johns has got it. Johns takes them on. He splits them. Still going. Lost the ball. Can you believe it? Of all people, Andrew Johns coming up with a spill.
And at first glance, I thought Paul Rauhi, in trying to regather it, knocked it on as well. Should it have gone back and had a scrum down?
Ganson thought otherwise. Kidwell's got the football, and he is taken, ball and all, by Trent Waterhouse as we watch the replay. Joey weaving his magic.
And getting mixed up there, the 6 and the 7, getting in each other's way, the ball being dislodged. Right now, Bluey McLennan sitting up there, wanting some points at the end of these opportunities that have been given. So far, 0.
24 minutes to go on the test. Torby's got it, and now Vatuve has nowhere to go.
No, there's some hard lessons that are going to be learnt here this evening, and some of them are unforgivable.
Well, you've got to treat the sideline like a precipice. Vatuve, surely he must have known where he was on the park. He shouldn't have got the pass in the first place.
Well, you see Torpy take him on 2-on-2, and he was only doing one thing. He was inviting Vatuve back on the inside. Needed to step off his wing. I know he's a big guy, but that, well, is just a dumb play.
Come on, Ruben, stay in, mate.
The questions right now is when you look to the coaching staff for whatever changes you do, or do you persevere with what you got?
Well, what they have got, of course, New Zealand is a 3-man bench. Just reiterating, Lance Hohaia, a spectator, suspected broken ankle, sustained in the first half.
And Lance Hohaia, the loss of Lance Hohaia was perhaps the options you had in terms of being able to reshuffle your back line. Now no longer with you.
Johns has got it. And now Australia looking to penetrate through O'Donnell. On debut, Luke O'Donnell. Johns with the kick, just short of the halfway line, and some work to do here for Brent Webb. He gets a fair bounce, and again the chase is good.
Finds space all the time, Andrew Johns. Bounce of the ball, sitting up for Webb as Fatuera onto Webster. Coming in off his wing to lend a hand.
And there's a sense right now that the tempo of this game's starting to pick up. The Kangaroos sensing, hey, we've been out of this, we haven't played, we've given you some chances, you haven't taken them, well, we're going to come.
Fayumu with a nice little pass out the back door. Ben Eichen, part of the commentary team for the Nine Network, as we see New Zealand now crossing the halfway line.
And you can be guaranteed that the one thing he'll be asserting is the fact that the Kangaroos are just doing what they did in the opening 20, committing far too many errors.
Here's a strip for the tackle there, Price. He can't believe it, but the penalty has been given here. Second penalty of the game only for New Zealand.
Well, Stephen Price, contact on the ball. He milks it for sure.
Well, he sold it.
Well, he's a damn fine poker player, that's for certain. Another questionable call there by the man.
Here we go, folks, approaching the 1 hour mark. Solomona, a shock run towards this blind side. He plays it back now for Fayumu. Webb at first receiver. Flat ball for Wiki. Aka Jake the Muss. He can't bust them.
Well, the invitations don't come any grander. 4 times in a row, Australia have coughed the ball up in their own half. What can New Zealand do?
We'll soon find out, Daryl. Stay tuned for more. Kidwell, he's scheming. He's running. He's passing. Vangana backing up. Now Torpy, they keep it alive. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Nathan Kalis is across the line. Try has been given. Don't go anywhere. New Zealand fire gain. It is 22 all with a kick to come.
A grimace from Kalis, but he's done the damage and put the ball over the chalk. Hurt himself in the process. His arms and legs and knees from Australia clean him up and doing the job, but keeping the ball alive as they head to the right-hand side of the field. A couple of good width passes and a wrap-around from Webb, and then the shift. Stacey Jones shifts it again, and Kidwell, first he keeps the ball alive here, and it's Vagana, and this ball, miracle out the back, Torpy onto Kalis, gets down low, crosses the line, try.
And look to the two players in the form of Kidwell and Vagana, the ability to be able to attract some attention, get the defenders in, committing 2-3 numbers, and then shifting it to the likes of Kalis. And he needed to go low, he needed to put his body on the line. He hit the line with his face, first point of contact, and he took a mouthful of grass in doing it as well. But he had to do it, he had to go low. Stephen Price, he gave the penalty, and he was there at the end.
Smart play as well. Kidwell's been on Lockyer all night. Darren Lockyer, not the greatest defender in the world. He's been showing up during the season this year in the NRL, so they go there again. Smart play.
And what we're seeing here, guys, and particularly Benji, is a Kiwi side that, you know, when you get 4 tries put on your back end of the first half, we have seen in the past things fall over as Stacey Jones lines this one up. This Kiwi side, there's some grit in this side tonight.
Yeah, there is definitely. But I think one thing New Zealand needs to realise is that, you know, you don't need to try and score off every play. They're trying to score off every play and they're just ruining it.
And they are ahead in the 61st minute, 24-22. One thing, Costa, about this crowd, it's just been reminded about it. You would sense the crowd is a lot more pro-Kiwi than pro-Aussie. Now, that sounds a little hard to understand, but I got that feeling.
Marvellous what a bit of complacency can do.
Well, the Kangaroos starting the game as they did in the first 12-6, the error rate. They're keeping the Kiwis in the game. The Kiwis needed to find a result. They were given 4 opportunities back-to-back, and then a penalty right at the end. They needed to come up with a result. But so important now that they've got them on the rack, and albeit a small rack, that they go forward with it, they go on with it. They cannot bring them back in.
Maybe the smallest of racks. 2-point buffer. Let's not get too carried away. A long way up from home here. 19 minutes to be precise. And remember, the Kiwis in the corresponding tournament last year went winless.
And they need to be the next to score, not to win the game, but to keep them in the right frame of mind to go on.
So looking for some momentum here at New Zealand. Faiumu fires the pass to Jones, and Kidwell, who came up with some magical ball skills just a moment ago, alongside Vagana. Torpy now rises to play the football on the far side of Telstra Stadium. Jones with the step, got rid of Johns, got rid of the ball, and Minicello slips over just for a moment. He was under a little bit of pressure.
But a good line in defence and a good kick deep into in goal. Interesting play here from the Kiwis. They've swapped centres. Torpy has shot across to the right-hand side and Fatuera has come over to the left. So interesting play.
Something for Bennett to think about. And now hitting it up for Australia, the man they call the Bobcat, Andrew Ryan, who of course led the Bulldogs in the absence of Stephen Price, the man carting the ball now to grand final glory at this same ground 12 months ago.
Hold, go.
Couple of more plays here for the Kangaroos. Brent Tate, who has scored a double tonight in his return to the green and gold. Here comes the last, 10 short of halfway, and Johns again providing the kick, and he finds open pasture. Bouncing ball for Webster.
The style of play from both sides totally different. You watch the Australian team and they get really, really deep out wide, just waiting for those long passes and second man plays from Johns and Lockyer. Then you watch New Zealand and they're quite flat and bunched in the middle with not a lot of depth at all.
But you would expect that, I guess, DJ, when you look at the personnel that you've got. You know, in Lockyer and Johns, you're going to get width. You've got the opportunity. You know you've got the luxury of just going a bit wider. Paul Rauhi pushes it out the back door.
That is sloppy.
And it's back to 0.
Well, it was sloppy, but it's worked out well here for the visitors. 6 more. The tackle count has been nullified. There was a kangaroo arm there that impeded the ball from going to a support player for New Zealand. So a little bit of sanity required just now.
Sanity required, and also perhaps what Benji Marshall suggested, which is just about showing a bit of patience right now. Just completing your set, getting up the other end.
New Zealand now spreading the ball against some second phase. Faiumu has to go back and pick up the scraps.
If you're a traditionalist, sure, you want sanity, but New Zealand doesn't play that way. They have to keep it alive. Players like Rauhihi and that, they just love an offload, and they play that way the whole way. Although it's nervous, you've got to ride with them at times.
Oh, just ask the West Tigers. They play a little bit like that too, just quietly. Here they go. Wiki, hard and straight.
I think we don't have a problem with doing that, but I think it's about where you do it.
Faiumu, 20 metres out now. Jones, Kedwell with the step. Ball goes loose, and Minicello now comes away with the loose ball. Doesn't go too far. Louis Anderson there to greet him. Waterhouse from dummy half, beyond the 20. 16 to go.
Still 15 minutes to go in this match, and the workload of some of these Australian forwards. Fitzgibbon, 40 tackles, would you believe? Sivanasiva, 28.
Well, with the former, that is no surprise. And now doing the honours in terms of head-ups. Craig Fitzgibbon, 3 in the tackle. He is repelled. Kalis and Louis Anderson, 2 of the key men on that play for New Zealand. Johns, Kennedy. They were sweating on him.
Talking about sweating, the game is now poised and starting to set itself up for a run home in the last quarter, which you perhaps were entitled to expect that would be the case.
That ball has certainly gone out of touch. Johns on that occasion looking to thread the needle for King. And, well, it was almost there.
And now the wisdom and the smarts of the bench are also going to come into play. New Zealand restricted to a 3-man bench. You look at the final quarter, how are you going to play it? Who have you got remaining on the bench that's got something special? 3 left for the Kangaroos, 4 for the Kiwis.
And keeping in mind too, folks, who we've spoken about, Hohaia, Tamana Tahu, an early casualty in this one tonight for the home side as Vatuvei looks to split them. Just what the doctor ordered. The big man coming out to help. He's tiring forwards, and Vagana will score from there. No one in front of him. Nigel Vagana, the makeshift 5'8", has extended the lead, and that could be enough to get the Kiwis here home tonight. 66 gone, the margin 6, the kick will be a setter.
On debut, Vatuvei, they needed his impact, and it come from a scrum. Big guy goes straight past Fitzgibbon. Jones gives him the ball, comes off the swing, he's on the left, goes straight past Minicello, cleaned up by Ryan, I think that is, and then no marker, and Vagana runs right behind Fitzgibbon or to him. Good step, pushes off Baderas, and then he's away. He's got 3 little growths on the bottom of his chin, Nigel Vagana. Looks like a Chinaman praying at times, and he loves it.
And I'll tell you what, he spent too much time with Peachy at Cronulla because going too close to that deadline, and they're well excited, and so they should be. We suggested that the Kiwis needed to be the next to score if they're to continue, set themselves up for the run home. But Manu Vatuvei, use him as a 6 forward. He did exactly that coming off from the scrum, and perhaps not the most traditional 5'8", sporting not only 3 rasta stripes underneath the chin, but a black eye to boot. He got him the acting half, and he did what he did. One of the best finishers in the game, one of the best anticipators of half a break or sniff of a gap, and he found his way home.
And a play, of course, that Brian McLennan had plenty to do with as a kid in Auckland many moons ago. Jones, perfect tonight with the boot. It stays that way. And look at this. A very handy margin here. The Aussies have to score twice in the last 12. 30 plays 22.
Well, it wasn't any problem for them in the first half. They scored 3 in the last 15. So possession now. New Zealand had it all.
So the Aussies get us back underway. And Wiki brings it back. And Stephen, the man beside you, he must be excited. Not so the Aussies right now.
Benji Marshall is actually pretty cool about this. As we've seen all season, Benji just takes these things into stride. But the whole Kiwi bench went up, Benji. And are we about to see something special unfold? Remembering, of course, how quickly. Hang on a minute.
Hold the phone, Stephen, because Brent Webb is going downtown at a great rate of knots.
And courtesy of the left-footed Faiumu, and he gets a penalty as well. Again, another set.
Daryl Halligan, who didn't mind a goal in his day, he's pointing to the sticks, is the New Zealand selector, calling the action tonight as part of the Sky Sport commentary team. He wants to chew up the clock.
Benji, what would you do?
I wouldn't go for the 2, you're up by 8, you know.
Good on you, Benji.
try and score again, put the pressure back on the Aussies, put them under the pump.
Are we about to see something special?
I hope we do something, see something special. You know, if the Kiwis can keep to their game plan, you know, just go forward, kick, chase. That's all I need to do for the rest of the game to win the game.
Just keep that arm in the sling now if they win, okay?
That's right, mate. It'll come out, don't you worry.
Oh boy, this is special. The Kiwi chance going up, lads.
And an interesting change as well with David Faumu coming off, replaced by Roy Asatasi. Just going to keep an eye on what's going to go on. You'd expect someone like Louis Anderson, who has been played, certainly accustomed to the acting half role. He'll slip up there, no problem at all.
Well, that's interesting, right? I like Faumu in the first 25 of this half. He's been damaging and his running's been great. I would have kept that going. Joe not happy. Of course, goal kicking playing a part in this match as well. Australia not kicking well. And if Stacey Jones can pilot this one over, well, Australia, they've got to score 2 converted tries to win the match, and they're 1 from 5 at the moment.
And I think what we got in David Faumu is some tired legs. Starting to feel the pinch a little. Normally spending about 30-odd minutes on game.
Jones, slight angle, if that, 30 up from goal, and he has got it. He's nailed it. Another 2, maybe. We are seeing history unfolding here tonight. 32 plays 22. Almost half a century since New Zealand has won here in Sydney. Is tonight going to be V9?
I think the word of caution came from Daryl Halligan moments ago. We're all prepared to sit and wait and be patient right now. The green and gold, give them the ball. So important that we don't do what we saw in the first 40. Keep the pressure on, keep the pedal on the metal.
A couple of changes getting ready for the Kiwis. Excuse me, O'Donnell and Gower coming ready to come back on.
Thank you, Stephen. Wayne Bennett has got plenty on his plate.
And we just saw a sign of confidence there, doing the old mousetrap, absent the specialist number 9 in Faumu Lanto Hire. Louis Anderson showing just how comfortable he is, slotting to the acting half, coming up with a special play.
Nothing fancy here from New Zealand. 5 short of halfway. Kidwell plays it back. Here's the last. Here comes the kick. Webb takes it upon himself. And his counterpart with a clean catch. Minicello. Nowhere to go. The chase is outstanding.
Chase is outstanding, but both number 1s have also been outstanding tonight. Minicello being able to gather in whatever's come his way. Offensively, Brent Webb, he's provided some spark.
We are into the final 10 minutes. Badeiras looking to spark the Kangaroos. Spinning around now on the tackle is Luke O'Donnell, who's just come onto the field. There's the penalty that the Kiwis didn't want. The explanation fairly clear-cut from Mr. Ganson.
But inconsistency is a word that comes to mind when I hear the words of referee Ganson suggesting I want some speed in the ruck.
So Australia now with Andrew Ryan, benchman. 40 metres out, Australia. Oh, good ball there from Sivanasiva to Andrew Johns.
More often than not, you see the offload coming from him, but more with numbers around him. That time he passed before the line. Well done.
Here's Lockyer, the Australian captain tonight. Despite the presence of Johns and Gasnier, he can step like Fred Astaire, this bloke. You got to watch him.
Watch him, he can create. He can do anything, Gasnier.
Beautiful footwork as Johns now turns it back on the inside. Minicello is wrestled to ground. Gower. Australia now with Minicello. Not sure where to go. They keep it going. The Kangaroos with O'Donnell just short of the line. A metre short, if that, on the last.
You've got your hand all over the ball.
Back-to-back penalties here against the Kiwis. Same story as we saw a moment ago. Look at this. Wasting no time. Andrew Johns will test them out. No obstructions. The call. Kiwis have got it. There's a brain explosion, but somehow they keep hold of the pill.
They were queuing up on the inside, Andrew Johns, and he couldn't help himself but spill the pass. Kennedy was your man, and the Kiwis, they too shovel the ball backwards as the clock now becomes their friend.
And those are the little things that you talk about when you haven't played football for a number of weeks. Normally they would come. Tonight they come a little unstuck, but go back to the tackle. Roy Asatasi on Anthony Minicello. He was looking to offload the second phase play. Boy, Asatazi had other ideas. He just wrapped him up and he just put him to the ground like a rag doll.
Jones, his second last game for the national side, drilling it downtown, and it's been taken on the full here by Tate, and he's searching for a hole. There's nothing forthcoming. They bang him down.
Hold it. Go.
Minicello now,
Second.
just short of halfway.
Hold.
7 to go. The Aussies, they need 2 converted tries. Can they do it? We know they have class players all over the park, including this man. Here's one of the tries they were looking for. Gaznia, one of the great names of rugby league. He grabs his second try of the test match. Don't go anywhere. Here come the Kangaroos.
Here come the Kangaroos, and here comes Andrew Johns. Not even wasting time here. As soon as Gaznia gets over the line, what you don't see coming up next is Gaznia will throw the ball directly back to Andrew Johns on the 20-metre, setting up for the kick right now.
Let's hope that hasn't knocked too much of the stuffing out of New Zealand. They were pumped and up for the last few minutes after scoring their last try. This kick, what a pressure kick it is. This puts them within a chance of actually winning the game, if not drawing it with another score. Andrew Johns.
Andrew Johns has nailed it. Big kick for the maestro from the Hunter Valley. There is still time here, 6 to go. The Kangaroos, 4 points adrift.
And it was Gaznia on Jones. Stepped him up, put him on his heels. When he jumps in the air like that, it was hard to get on your front foot. And this is a kick under pressure. Well, they haven't been good tonight, but that's about as good as it gets.
Word of caution, boys. Just remember what they did in the first half. 31st, 34th, 37th, 39th. They know how to score quick tries. Oh, this is close.
Is it wide and just in the try-scoring department? The Kangaroos have scored 6 to 5 over the Kiwis tonight, but still find themselves trailing. Here we go for a mighty finish in game 1 of the Tri-Nations.
Hold. Go.
Just a reminder too that in the corresponding game last season it finished a draw.
Second. Hold.
Oh dear, Ben Kennedy of all people has come up with a fumble.
You lost it, mate.
He's giving Ganton a gobful, but once he sees the replay, I dare say he'll say nothing. But then again, you look at that replay and I'll tell you what, Frank Pritchard, he'll be in church tomorrow, if not Sunday. Well, it's the same day. Why wouldn't we be excited? Because Vangana has got the football.
First, move. Hold. Go.
This is quite incredible. New Zealand here on the cusp of a famous victory.
Hold. Go.
Inside the final 5 minutes. Jones, Webb, hitting it up now. Wiki, was it high? No, says the referee. They'll be looking for a repeat set here, if not the 4-pointer. Forget the field goal. Jones goes out wide. Asatazi's got it. Here we go, in the corner. Clinton Torby has got there! And for the second time in 2 years, he gets a hat-trick. And surely the Kiwis have got this one stitched up.
Joshua's one simple, got a grounding and touch.
We will check the tape. The video machine is getting a workout tonight, but look at this. The Kiwis, they are more than confident.
It's
They were never going to shut up shop. And Clinton Torpy, that looks good. For sure, nothing touches the chalk before the ball does. His arm carrying the ball, should I suggest, doesn't touch the ground as well before he does. It gets close, and there's no problem here. I thought he might have had a double movement on his hands there, but the arm carrying the football does not touch the ground, and that's play on. And right there's impact.
And you can see the boot of Torby nowhere near the sideline. Close, but not close enough if you're a Kangaroos fan. Torby, who said he was a spent force in Test football. He's caught plenty in recent times.
And how important the penalty kick and goal now, Costo. That puts them to 8.
That's it. Try has been awarded. Look at the expats. Look at the scoreboard. 4 minutes to go. 36 plays 28.
The best way to seal it is to hit straight back after Gaznier scores at one end. Kennedy coughs the ball over again. Boy, they've done that in the second half in their own end. They've turned some ball over, invited New Zealand right back into this match, and they've taken their opportunities, and that man there, what a spark.
And it was Clinton Torpey, Darryl, last time that the Kiwis won against their Trans-Tasman rivals. It was Torpey getting that hat-trick at North Harbour 2 years ago, getting his name into the history books. He's backed it up here tonight. Quite unbelievable.
And smart play as well, swapping him over in the centre position from side to side.
Oh, masterstroke. No doubt about that. Bluey McLennan, take a bow. First game as the Test coach. Here's the first miss of the night. No! Everything is going New Zealand's way. There's the Bill Kelly Cup. And I reckon they've got two hands on it now. The margin is out to double figures with 3 to go. And Stacey Jones in his second last game for the Kiwis, back in black tonight. What a way to come back to Test football for the little general. Jones with the extras. And the Aussies now playing for pride. And just a reminder, it is back on next Friday night in the city of Sales. All roads lead to Ericsson. Game 2.
And what a great promotion for that, as Andrew Voss, part of the 9 team, lets the Australian viewers know that Ericsson will be on the cards, and a revamped Australian team with some changes for sure will compete and be up again. But this is fantastic. The ups and downs of the game saw New Zealand nearly knocked out of it by a blistering patch before half-time. And then shortly after half-time, Australia again hit the front. And then New Zealand have fought their way back into this and will come up with an historic win here.
Less than 2 to go. And I tell you what, they will be basking in the glory here tonight, the NZers. First time in almost half a century since they have won here in the Harbour City. And Stephen, I'm sure Benji Marshall, if this doesn't whet the appetite for a comeback to the national side, nothing will.
Mate, this is what Benji's doing. We've been sitting back like this. This is how relaxed this boys. Come on, let's be blunt. How do you feel that 46 years they haven't beaten the Kangaroos in Sydney? They're about to do it, Benji.
Yeah, it's mad, eh? It's amazing. I'm spewing, I'm not playing though.
Mate, you said to me in the game show, I know I made the right decision. You can't turn back now, but gee, it's good to enjoy, isn't it?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I can't turn back the clock, but it's good to see the boys out there doing the job, and hopefully they can carry on with it next week.
When we talk about players that have led the way, and you look in the back end of the second half, Ruben Wiki just carting that ball up, and also Nigel Wagner, some of the senior players, Pete sitting sideline, Pete, they have come to the party.
Well, I'll tell you what, the timing of bringing on the bench, we talked about it pre-game as well. Brian McLennan picked it right. There was a time when Roy Asatasi and Ruben Wiki both introduced.
All right, the crowd's going crazy, the clock's counting down. Cost, I'll give you the last 29 seconds.
Well and truly into the final seconds. This is staggering. Australia, unbackable favourites coming into this one. Last 11 encounters between these two sides. Only one victory for New Zealand 2 years ago. But the form guide has well and truly gone out the window here tonight. The Kangaroos looking for a consolation four-pointer. Waterhouse with the kick. They give chase in vain. It is all over at Telstra Stadium. The men in black, they are back, baby. Make no mistake about that. 38-28 at the final hooter. And a hoodoo that goes back almost half a century is broken. You could say the monkey is off the back here in Sydney. Perhaps it is more like King Kong.
Absolutely brilliant. They'll soak up this for sure. Webster, Vatuvai, their first test. Faumu as well. Some young blood in there as well. Plenty of performers all over the park, and there's a very proud New Zealander for sure. Come out to support her boys as Darren Lockyer. Well, he'll get a chance against them next week as well. But yes, fantastic stuff. Bury the hoodoos, make some history, and do it here at the Olympic Stadium for sure.
New Zealand's first win here in Australia in 14 years. It is high fives all round, and rightly so. From Bondi to Birkenhead, they will party tonight.
Oh, the party won't stop. Well, it'll have to stop at some stage, they prepare for next week. But monumental efforts. 28 from Kidwell in the tackle department with 15 hit-ups. Pritchard was good also. Asatasi off the bench with 19 and 10. And for the Australians, well, never so many mistakes. 14 mistakes, 66% in possession. Not acceptable.
And what about Stacey Jones? Try scoring, 6 apiece tonight. The boot of Jones proving the difference. Speaking of the little general, let's catch up with him. His second last game in the black jumper. He will sleep well tonight.
How good was that?
Yeah, it was pretty good. We got off to a flyer. Man, no, it's unbelievable. Never beaten them over here before, so.
46 years, Stacey, 46 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time. It was just a great preparation all week, you know. The first day in camp was pretty good, and we just knew it was going to be a good week. We trained well all week. Mate, it was great, yeah.
Mate, I'm not going to bore you. Go and have a good night.
Cheers, thanks, mate.
Clinton, how good, man? 2 tries, feeling good?
Oh, definitely, mate, over the moon to come here. We haven't won here for so many years, and to make history, you know, it's the start of a new franchise.
Mate, you had all the start that you wanted, the dream start. The opening 20 minutes was everything, but then it came unstuck.
Yeah, definitely, mate. We were in it for the first 20 minutes, and then, you know, the second half of that 40, you know, the Australians, they just had the ball for the whole 20 minutes, and we just had to defend, and we knew we were going to come through it. We just had to, you know, maintain and handle the pressure, and that we did, mate.
Mate, with 5 to go, what were you thinking?
Mate, you know, we had a call out there, and it was Kaizen, mate, and it was, you know, to just keep on improving and keep staying strong, and Kiwis all the way.
Buddy, enjoy the night, huh?
God bless, mate. Thanks.
Okay, you too.
Reeves, you're a bit emotional, you all right, mate?
Yeah, I'm okay, mate. I lost my voice in haka. But, you know, there's a bit of history since we last won here, and I think we've done it, mate. And it's...
Mate, you've done it, and you've done it well, and you've led them just majestically. For you as a player to beat them in Sydney, in their home ground, they call this their home ground. Does that make it even more special?
It does, you know, it does, but we got to calm down a bit because we've got to back it up next week.
No, you don't, mate. You don't calm down right now. You've beaten them for the first time in 46 years.
I know, mate. It's just, there's so much going through our head. Emotion-wise, Bluey showed us a videotape before the game where the last time the Kiwis beat the Aussies, not back in the 19th century, you know, so we made a bit of history tonight, and you know, we're going to have a few carvers tonight, but but to my lovely wife, happy birthday, honey. I'll see you tomorrow. Don't have too many wines because I've got a few cover balls for you, done. I love you.
Mate, don't miss the photo. Go get them. Go get them. Go enjoy it.
Oh, yes, Santa, your husband's done you proud. He's done his country proud. We've seen some famous wins in the past. Tank Gordon, Graham Lowe, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Tonight, it belongs to Bluey McLennan, his first game as Kiwis coach. A shock win. They win this one, 38 points to 28 over the Kangaroos.